Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining Ask Conti. I have a lot of clients who are asking me what's going on in the real estate market. And since I'm not a real estate expert, I wanted to bring on two experts to talk about mortgages and real estate. So let's introduce Jabir. Jabir, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yes, thank you, Conti, for having me again. And I know it's been a while, but Jabir Najair, residential mortgage advisor. I've been in the business 2004. Worked very closely. I've worked with both Conti and Jeanine for many years, and expert in not only helping people get into homes in difficult situations, but also using their home as a tool to leverage some of their overall debt. So we'll get into all that good stuff today.
All right. And then we have Jeanine. Do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah. Hi, my name is Jeanine Alcime. I'm a local real estate agent in the Central Florida area. And I'm excited to be here again because since we last spoke, a lot has happened and I can't wait to discuss them with you.
All right. Well, thank you both for joining us. So I'm getting a lot of clients who are trying to figure out the strategy. Should I file for divorce now? Should I wait? Is the housing market going to crash? So I'm getting all these questions and I don't have the answers. So if you guys could start with updating us on what's the current status of the market. I know a year ago things were crazy, right? And people were, able to sell their homes for above asking price. What's going on today?
You know what? That's a really good question. And, people should be concerned because the market has changed so much. So as far as is the market is going to crash, we don't have a crystal ball. I can't answer that question. Jabir can elaborate on that a little bit. However, I know that the majority of the clients that were purchasing a couple of years back or a couple of months back, they were very properly vetted by the loan officers that we work with. So this is not the 2006, 2005 crisis. We had better borrowers this time around. Now, the question, should we sell now? Should we wait? What's going to happen? If you're a seller, this is still a great time to sell. I would not wait to sell my property if my intentions is to sell anyways, because sellers are still netting great returns on their investment, and that's why we purchase real estate is to, to start building generational wealth. And if you were to sell right now, the biggest difference we're seeing, Conti, was 6-7 months ago, you put a house on the market, no matter the condition, you will get 15 to 20 offers on that property. The majority of the offers will be over asking, over list price. What that means is if we list a property for $550, there are times we were getting offers for $575, $600 because there was so little inventory in the market, meaning there was so much supply, very little demand. Today, though, it's a little bit different. If you price it right, you will sell it. If your neighbor sold for $600,000, that wasn't the market wasn't stabilized. In a stabilized market, you may be able to sell your property for $560, $580, depending on the condition, right? So now we have a little bit more inventory and buyers are a little bit hesitant. So we're not seeing the madness we were seeing at the beginning of the year or late last year.
I don't want to cut you off, but I saw, Jeanine, you did a video on your Instagram, and you were talking about how when people would pull up to a house, drive by, and make an offer.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So I mean, again, Jabir was with us, and he's been with us through that process. There are days we were writing 15 offers, all of them above asking. And the majority of the time we wasn't getting them, right? So this is, the question was, is this the right time to sell? Yes, it is still the right time to sell. Most sellers still are netting 6 figures at the closing of their property. What sellers are doing now, though, they're still expecting the same return that we were, other people were getting 6-7 months ago. And that's not the market we're currently in right now.
Okay. So Jabir, question for you. A lot of my clients are like, oh, the interests are high now. They were 3% or whatever they were, a year ago. And now what are they now?
Currently on conventional loans are right around 4.25%, 4.5%. I mean, I'm sorry, 5.25%, 5.5%.
Okay. And so people are like, oh, the interest rates are so high. So what do you say to those people who are like, oh, the rates are so high? I mean, how much is if you're renting, right? How much is the interest on rent, right? But like, I'll let you address that.
Yeah, so in March, we started to have an increase in interest rates, which we all expected. The thing is that everybody knew that the rates were going to increase this year, but nobody thought they're going to increase as fast as they did. The the spot that we thought we were going to be at by the end of the year, we blew past that in June. So that's how quickly the rates increased. So we went from having rates anywhere between 2.75 to 3.25 to 6% in less than 3 to 4 months. Now, rates have come back down slightly. So you may have heard in the news recently that rates have come down. So they have reduced compared to where they were, but they're nowhere close to those 3% rates that we were at a few months ago. Now, I would not tell somebody to hold out for those 3%, for that 3% or 3.5%, because I don't think we're going to see that anytime soon. I'm pretty sure 2023 we'll have elevated rates. We may not have rates come back down until 2024, and that doesn't necessarily mean they're going to come back down to 3%. They just may not be at the 5.5. For those who are looking to purchase right now and they are looking at these higher interest rates, I think that a lot of people are starting to become comfortable with and accept, I should say, where the rates are at. I think that we went through the summer and nobody could believe how high the rates increased. And for those, you just have to prepare for what that new monthly mortgage payment will be. Maybe that home that you're looking at for 350 or 400 or 500,000, whatever that price point may be, you may have to reduce that price point a little bit so that mortgage payment will fit within your budget. And maybe you can afford that, but let's say, for example, you're looking to purchase a home for $350,000. A couple months ago, without taxes and insurance, that payment may have been right around $1,500, give or take. Keep in mind, it's without taxes and insurance. Now that same payment is right around $1,900. So you have to fit that within your budget. So I understand that everybody's expenses have increased. Gas is up, food is up. So you have to keep that in consideration when you're purchasing. But to your point, go ahead.
Jabir, I wanted to piggyback off of that though. Without taxes and insurance, it's $1,900. Right now, if you live in the Central Florida area, a 2-bedroom apartment in Pine Hills is roughly about $1,900. You see what I'm saying? So everything has increased.
It's cheaper to own.
It is cheaper to own.
It is.
Yeah.
Right. And the thing is, when you own, you're actually locking in that mortgage payment. Now, I do understand that taxes can increase from year to year, but there's a limit depending on what county, what area you live in, that there's a cap on how much the taxes can increase per year. So for the most part, your mortgage payment should stay relatively consistent from year to year. With rent, as we've seen, I've heard of multiple people's rent increasing anywhere from $500 to $1,500 from one year to the next. So you're not going to really experience that whenever you own a home.
Okay.
And you had a good video about that too on your Instagram and your social media, Jabir, about people crying about rent, or what was it? It was I just saw it the other day.
It was one of the most recent ones. It may have been in regards to the not being able to save money due to increased rent. So there's a lot of people who are they knew that they wanted to purchase a home in the near future and they're putting money away, but now that rent has increased, they're dipping into their savings to hopefully pay the increased rent that their landlord has increased the rent. So we actually have a program that we can actually finance 100% of the purchase price. So it's an FHA loan. We'll actually finance the first portion of the loan to 96.5%.
Wait, you said 100%?
100%. Yes. So it's two. Yeah. So it's two loans. So the first loan is.
Hold on, your mic's kind of going in and out, Jabir. So hold on, I need everybody to hear this clearly. Okay. 100%. So.
Yes. Can you hear me? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now we can.
All right. So the first one is 96.5%, because normally with FHA you have to put down 3.5%. So the additional 3.5%, the other 3.5% that you normally have to put down, we will actually finance that for you as a second mortgage. So that's a 10-year loan. And so instead of you coming up with that money out of pocket all at once, now you could pay it over the course of 10 years. The only thing you will be responsible for will be your closing costs. So before you had to pay for your closing costs and your down payment, now you're only responsible for your closing costs, and we can finance 100% of the purchase price.
So what do you have to do to be able to qualify for that?
It's just a normal FHA loan. So
really?
The requirement, as long as you have a 620 score or higher, we could get you into the loan. We run you through the system to make sure you could qualify for the FHA loan. And then It's an in-house program, so we're not going to the county for the 3.5%. We're not going to any external organization for the 3.5%. It's all done internal. So we have the funds that will actually provide you the 3.5%. So it's all done at once, and at closing, you'll have 2 loans that you'll be closing on.
Yeah.
Wow.
And you know, the thing is, Conti, like buyers are so afraid. They don't understand that, you know, because of everything that's happening in the market, the opportunity for them to own is easier and more affordable now. They just have to find a real estate professional that understand the market to kind of guide them, you know, partnering them with the right lender to guide them into like home ownership. It's difficult. We understand that, but there's many paths that you can take to get there, opposed to paying monthly, you know, somebody else mortgage.
So quick question, Jabir,
Mhm.
like, so if someone's trying to buy a house with like 300 grand under this 100% FHA, like how much are the closing costs? Like, can you give us like an estimate of like closing costs? I'm not trying to make you do
Closing,
math, but I'm just curious.
right. Closing cost on that would probably be, depending on tax insurance. I'm just doing it. It's probably going to be around $10,000 to $12,000.
Okay. Okay.
And in this new market, you can, some sellers are willing to pay that closing cost for you.
Now, keep in
Really?
mind,
Mm-hmm.
Well, go ahead, Jabir. You can finish.
yeah.
And I'm
So that 10 to 12,000, when I mentioned 10 to 12,000, there's different, I guess you could say, sections when it comes to what makes it the closing cost. So a lot of times people hear there's closing cost, what makes it the closing cost. So yes, there are lender fees, there are title fees, and there are government transfer fees. But then in addition to that, you are paying for your insurance to cover your home for 1 full year. In addition to that, we're setting up an escrow account. So there is a breakdown when you look at the closing costs of what that includes. So it's not necessarily that $10,000 is going to the lender or to the title company, but that should be your overall general,
budget.
Generally speaking, depending what the taxes are, should be right around that general price range.
Okay. I mean, still, that's they're if you can finance it 100%, I mean, that's amazing. And so Jeanine, talk to us about like new construction, if you will. I have some clients who are looking to, they want to sell their house, right? And they're hoping that they can get new construction with a contingency that their old house is sold, right? And they're looking at, so tell me about like, how is that working now with the new construction so we can properly advise our clients on their strategy?
So, as the market shifted, new construction was the last, group of set of people to react, right? So now we're seeing that they're being a little bit more flexible with our clients. The contingency to sell hasn't come back yet. For most of them, if there's a builder out there offering it right now, I don't know about that. Again, we're still seeing that prices are holding steady. Basically, what they're doing is, again, what Jabir just said, there's, rate buy downs. They're helping people, again, with closing cost assistance, where before we wasn't getting that. So if you're going to partner up with an agent to sell your home in this current market, make sure they are experienced at, the marketing, the different strategies you're going to need to make sure that your property sell in this market. Because if you were to go under contract with a builder and don't sell that house where the contingency was to sell it, guess what? Whatever deposit that you give to that builder, there's a possibility you might lose that. So again, I don't know of any builders that's currently doing that. I don't think that part of our business has come back yet. But if you are going to sell your property, my advice to you would be price it right, put it on the market first, make sure you have a contract. And I don't know if you've heard, in the month of July, we had the most cancellation in Florida than ever before, right?
What do you mean by that?
So, meaning buyers having buyer's remorse. You're selling the home, you're under contract thinking you're going to close, and for whatever the reason, buyers are pulling out and saying, hey, I don't want to do this, right? And to be honest, a lot of them think there's going to be something better down the road, which I don't really think so. Let me give you an example, Conti. More homes sold last year in July than it did this year in 2022. However, the homes that sold in July this year were more expensive than the homes that sold in July last year. So even though we're selling less, property prices are still increasing.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
Okay. So how long is it? Okay. So for people who are like, I want to sell, and they're anticipating the house is going to be sold in like 20 days. Is that happening still? Like, is it happening that quickly? Or is there a longer shelf life now for homes than it was like 6 months ago?
So it depends.
Okay.
If a seller goes in and price it right, forget about what your neighbor sold it for. Forget about what everybody's telling you. Forget about what Zillow is telling you. So we have to go in and say, in today's market, what will a buyer be willing to pay for this property, right? So, and if you price it right, we're still selling them in a couple of days, right? But what we're seeing though is sellers are still overpricing their properties. And if you're not working with an experienced agent, they don't know. So we're looking at comps 90, 4 months ago, where that's not the market we're in right now. So that's why now more than before, it's important to work with someone that's familiar with your area, someone that knows your neighborhood, and someone that's consistently selling in this market, because we're seeing the shift and we know how to adjust.
Okay. That was helpful. Jabir, so I have a question. With divorces, a lot of my clients need to either refinance or have their soon-to-be ex refinance the property in order to get the money that they're entitled to from the property. Can you talk to us about the current status of trying to refinance a property and what people should kind of anticipate and know about that process in today's market?
Right. So the biggest thing I would say, anytime somebody's looking to refinance to take cash out to pay off a soon-to-be ex or an ex, is that there's a good chance that your expenses are going to go up on that home for two reasons. The rates are higher, and you're taking cash out. So whatever depends on how much cash you're taking out. Whether it's 20,000 or 100,000, you have to keep in mind that now you're actually paying a payment on a higher interest rate to take that cash out. So it's something you have to be financially prepared for. Now, when it comes to being able to qualify for that, we're looking at everything, not just can you make the mortgage payment, but same thing whenever you purchase a home. We're going to look at all the debts that's on the credit report. We're going to look at the credit score. The credit score will help to determine what your interest rate will be. So you have to be financially prepared for that. And even if we're able to qualify you for that, because sometimes we're able to qualify for somebody for a mortgage payment that's actually higher than they feel comfortable with, you just have to be prepared for how are you going to make that payment? Are you going to bring in a roommate? Do you have other family members that will be moving in to help supplement that mortgage payment? That's just something you just have to keep in mind. Other than that, the process is a normal refinance. We're going to look at the value of the home. You could take up to 80% of the value for a cash out refinance, and we just basically need a divorce decree stating how much needs to be taken out, and that will go to the ex-spouse, and that could be wired directly to them at the time of closing.
And so what's the status of like debt? Like, are you seeing a trend in people having more debt now? Like, what are you seeing when you're looking at borrowers, like what their debt's looking like? What are you seeing? And then what can you do with the refinance to help them with that?
Yeah, so definitely people are using a lot more when it comes to credit cards. People are using a lot more credit cards. We are actually at the highest credit card usage since 2008. So people rely more on their credit cards. And if you just think about it, it makes sense. Mm-hmm. Expenses are going up, not just housing expense, electric bill, food costs, gas prices. And for many people, their incomes have not increased enough to make up for that difference. So people are relying on their credit cards. Now, what we're finding is that people are saying, hey, listen, I'm up to my neck in debt. I'm making the minimum payments, and these credit cards aren't going anywhere. What we can do is use their home as a tool to reduce that overall monthly liability. And the way we do that is through a debt consolidation refinance. So we're going to take those high interest credit cards, those 9, 10, sometimes 22 to 24% credit cards, and we're going to consolidate them into one, pay them off, and put them into your mortgage payment. So yes, I understand the interest rates are higher than they were 4 months ago. But even with the higher interest rates, we're still saving people anywhere from $300, sometimes on the low end. And I've saved people $1,400 to $1,500 a month. Depends on how much credit card debt they have, of course. So over the course of a year, you're saving thousands of dollars. Even on the low side, you're probably saving $4,000. On the high side, you could be saving $10,000, $15,000 a year just by refinancing to consolidate that debt.
Okay.
The
And
most
that's
important thing I will say, because I have seen it happen time and time again, is you have to manage that debt after we pay it off. Because there's been many times that I've paid off a lot of credit card debt for somebody, and they come back to me a year later and they need to refinance to pay off the debt again. And don't get me
Yeah.
wrong, I would love the business, but at the same time, I truly do want to see people in a better position. So I help somebody. I will help you again, but I really want to see you in a better position and not see you continue to get yourself in that credit card debt.
Yeah.
okay. So, Jeanine, what are like okay? So, what are the mistakes you said earlier that people are overpricing their homes? Like, what are some of the top mistakes you see people making when they're trying to sell their home? Like, what are the misconceptions that people have that you can clear up succinctly for them?
A lot of times it's an emotional decision, right?
Mhm.
So your home is your baby. There's a lot of memories that was made there, and coming out of the market we just came in, or coming out of, you've seen your neighbors net hundreds of thousands of dollars, right? And the truth of the matter is, if you didn't sell 4, 5, 6, 7 months ago, you've missed that market where people were paying 50, 60, 70,000 above list price. So, you know, um, people not accepting that reality hurts them a lot, because when you're having that conversation with them, educating them about the market, they reject it. So then it's like, hey, if you can't list my house for 800,000, even though you're telling me it's worth 750, I'm going to list it with another agent, right? So what happens? The property just stays on the market, and then
Mm,
you become frustrated. And let's just say 3 months later, you just missed that last market, right?
mhm.
So the longer your property stays on the market, the more money you will lose. So
Okay.
when people say, "Well, a buyer will fall in love with the home just like I did," no, they won't. Not if it's overpriced. Not today. So that's the biggest misconception I'm seeing right now is, let's put it on the market and see how it do. Let's see how people react to it. No, you get one chance to go on the market, one chance to get it right. If you don't, it's going to take you months to sell that home, and and reduce quickly. In this market, within 48 hours, we know if we priced it right.
Mhm.
Don't wait 30 to 45 days to make a price adjustment. So if you listed it at 800, it's not moving, have a conversation with your agent. For us, we do it in 10 days. And a lot of people are like, it's only been on the market for 10 days. Yes, that's 30 days, 40 days in our world, right? So let's make the modification quickly. Don't wait. And yeah, so that's the two biggest mistake that I'm seeing sellers make right now.
Okay. Jabir?
Well, as Jeanine was saying, that I actually can attest to that, because that happened to me on a home that I sold many years ago. This is back in I don't remember, probably '06, '07. And the thing is that there was a lot of homes in the area that basically went up for sale at the same time that I put my house up for sale. And I'm trying to get top dollar, right? Of course. And somebody sells their home 5,000 below what I had my home listed for. So I dropped my price to what they sold it for. But then somebody else sells it for 5,000 below. And another agent who wasn't helping me, and this is way before I even knew Jeanine, everybody. So, or else she would have been
It
the person
wasn't
working
me.
on. They're like, listen, you're chasing the market. And
Right.
so that's why I was like, you know what? So I have to beat the market basically and price it at a price that I could sell. And once I did that, I don't remember anymore because it's a long time ago. I'm pretty sure I sold it within a few weeks. So you just don't
Mhm.
want to catch, like Jeanine just said, you don't want to chase the market and end up losing money over the course of 3 months or 4 months because you're trying to get that top dollar. Because eventually you're going to realize that top dollar, where you're looking for that extra 1,000 or 2,000, may end up
Right.
costing you 10,000 at the end of the day.
Correct. So the
But go ahead.
go ahead, Jabir. No, I was going to say the term that everybody should know, Conti, if you're selling your house, is chasing the market. If your agent is telling you we're chasing the market, that's not the position you want to be in, right? Because when you're chasing a car, you're trying to catch up. And the
Mm,
likelihood is, if you're starting from behind, the likelihood of you catching up to that car is slim, right? So you'll lose more by overpricing the property than you would if you would have listed at market value to begin with.
right.
Yeah.
Okay. And Jabir, what tips do you have or what advice do you want to give to people who are thinking about taking out a loan or thinking about buying a home? Like, what advice could you give them that will help them with buying a home in this market?
Well, the biggest thing I would say is just over prepare. Go ahead and get pre-approved ahead of time. There's many times that somebody may get ready to purchase a home and they're looking to get pre-approved literally at the time that they call Jeanine to actually start looking for a home. And sometimes they are very, very stressed because there are sometimes things that pop up on credit. Maybe there's some judgments or collections that if they knew 6 months before, 3 months before, they wouldn't feel so stressed while they're under contract and trying to correct their credit profiles. That's the first thing. Get pre-approved well way ahead of time, but also have a little bit more in savings for two reasons. Sometimes based on the current market, you may have to pay a little bit more than you were planning to as far as the down payment or monthly payment. But I don't know. Nobody knows where the rates are going. Right now, they seem stable. The inflation rate came down a little bit, so hopefully the increase in rates won't be as crazy as they have been over the last couple of months. But we don't know what first quarter of 2023 will bring. So you just have to be prepared for where things could go. Hopefully they get better, but they also could reverse and go in the opposite direction. So those would be the two things. Also, you have to just be realistic in this market. As Jeanine will probably tell you, yes, even though sellers are willing to work with buyers a little bit more, the homes are not. They're not dropping 50%. You're not getting these homes for free. So it's a little bit more, I would say, moving towards a fair market, where in the past, if you listed a home for 400,000, you're offended somebody offered you any less than 420. Now it's become a
Yeah.
little bit more of a fair market, but
Yeah.
you're not going to take advantage of the seller. So you just have to keep that in mind.
Yeah. And Conti, just to piggyback off of this before we end this session, is there is never a bad time to purchase real estate. Real estate is always and will forever be an amazing investment, right? For example, 4 years ago, 3 years ago, I sold a client this beautiful home at 400,000. I'm like, oh my God, that's an expensive home, right? A couple of months ago, they sold it for 800. So again, real estate is never a bad investment. You will always get a return, right? You just have to be willing to adjust as the market changes.
That's a good point. That's a
Yeah.
really good point. So I may be a little biased, but I think that Jeanine and Jabir have some of the best social media videos and information out there. So can you share with everyone where they can find on social media, and any last words that you want to share with anybody or any tips, please feel free to do so. But seriously, check them out on Instagram and Facebook. They put out a lot of good information and it's entertaining.
Thank you. We try.
Jabir, do you want to give your information, or have Jeanine up? Jeanine, do you want to tell people where they can follow you? And
so for us, we truly believe in real estate education, you guys. My number is 407-595-8634. I know the numbers on there is not correct, but that's okay.
Wait, repeat the number again.
407-595-8634. We pride ourselves in real estate education, especially for our community. I'm beyond passionate about this because I feel like more of us need to be owning homes, like multiple homes, and building generational wealth for our children through real estate. That's how everybody else is doing. Why not educate yourself on doing it too, right? You don't even have to use me, you guys. I just want to be a resource to you. So that way, we can all win together. So I'm on IG at Jeanine Alcime. And, feel free to DM us, ask us any questions. I don't care if you're working with somebody else. If you need clarity on a question, just, drop it on our DM. I'll be more than happy to assist you.
All right. She's awesome. And then Jabir, do you want to share information?
Yeah, so Jabir Najair. So you could contact me at 321-239-5814. Once again, that is 321-239-5814. Also, you can follow me on IG. Just like Jeanine just mentioned, there's a lot of educational tips on there. So that IG handle is Jabir, that's Jabir _ Najair, Najair. And I drop a bunch of videos pretty much daily. They're usually a minute or less with just tips. So whether you use me or not, same as Jeanine, the information is out there. Just go ahead and follow and make sure that you're getting this free information. Even if you're working with another broker, these are still tips that are good to know. You never know. Maybe the broker may not know something, and you're able to put the broker onto some new things that may help to get you into a home.
Awesome. And again, thank you all for tuning in to Ask Conti. I am Conti Moore Smith. We practice family law in the Central Florida area. If you need any help with a family law issue or a divorce, give us a call at 407-831-0203. And you can follow us on all social media platforms at Conti Moore Law. Thank you so much for your time, Jeanine and Jabir, and thank you all for tuning in. Have a great day.
All right, bye. Thank you for having us.